Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity with me, Bring It On. We're going to explore around the Ducal Palace, then we'll speak to Adair, and then enter the Ducal Palace. The stones of this ancient tower have been blackened by centuries-old fires, surrounded by a patch of wildflowers that looks like a memorial.
Politics, infighting, greed, and a shrine to Margaret.
I shall
as
be
well.
discreet.
Her clergy belongs there.
I suppose it makes sense they'd have a shrine to Margaret. The place is called First Fires. Alright, let's go towards the main entrance and we'll speak to Adair. Then who was it that wanted to see us here? I know they were contesting my claim to Caed Nua. Chancellor Warren.
Strange place for a shrine to Abidan, Crucible Keep. Maybe it made more sense at some point before it gathered all that dust. And the only thing the Knights of the Crucible worship these days is the nobility, as far as I understand it.
I knew some soldiers who got recruited by the Knights after the war was over. They told me some about it. You get these young kids in there and tell them about the blacksmithing and about the revolution and about tradition. Talk about the golem like he created the Crucible Knights in his forge to go win Deerwood's independence. Then they join, and turns out all any of those knights ever talks about is when are we going to get recognized as a real knighthood? When are we getting our titles and our land? Their High Justice wants to be an earl. This is Abaddon's will. He's got a castle and an army. You wonder how long he'll wait before he starts a war over it, saying Abaddon told him to. It seems like some members do still take their ideals seriously. You see it with the older knights, some of them. They were taught differently. I feel for them, seeing all that slowly wearing away around them, with nothing to be done because the wrong people are in charge. And they don't have better people leading them. The same can be said for any faction. No. Sibley. Welcome to the Ducal Palace.
Good
Thank
day to
you.
you.
The woman wears a simple but well-tailored uniform. She watches the comings and goings around her with quiet attention. Any news to share? Or are you just here to see the Ducal Palace? What's the Ducal Palace? It's the seat of government here in Defiance Bay. This is where Duke Admeth Hadrit declared freedom from Adiran rule some 150 years ago. She lowers her voice and grins. And it's also a hotbed of regional politics. Trust me, the gossip here beats what you'll find in any tavern or brothel in the city. Multiply that by 10, it'd be just like the Republic's. Looking for news? Who are you? I'm a page here at the palace. I deliver messages and run errands for the Duke and his advisors. Pay's not great. I can't think of a better introduction to politics. What goes on in here? She laughs. Where to start? We've got meetings, public hearings, and ceremonies. That's just the stuff that happens out in the open. She leans a little closer. This is where the Duke and his key advisors work. There's always someone bartering for a favor. Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to talk about that side of things. If you want the official version, she clears her throat and gestures counterclockwise around the palace. We have a shrine devoted to Magrin, official records, and chambers for public hearings and council meetings. Tell me about the Shrine of Magrin. It's a symbol of Magrin's protection of Defiance Bay. She's represented the revolutionary spirit of the Deerwood ever since independence, and her involvement in creating the Godhammer bomb only affirmed her importance to us. She scratches her neck. That's also where the first of the sacred fires burn, but Firga, the Tranquil Ardent, has had trouble keeping them lit. What kinds of records are stored here? Mostly dull official stuff. Census counts, tax records, militia registers. Now I keep my distance. I got curious one day and got drafted into reshelving half of the records. She yawns. Worst day of my life. Is there a hearing going on right now? Sure is. Duke Ivar has been meeting with some of the city leaders for weeks now, trying to figure out how to address the legacy. The whole business is terribly secret, though. I tried to sit in the gallery during my lunch break one day, and got turned away. She sniffs. A lot of the talk concerns animancy. There's good reason they're keeping the meetings behind closed doors. The legacy. Wydwin's legacy. That's what a lot of people call the Rash of Hollowborn. The theory goes that it's punishment for meddling in animancy. Why is animancy so controversial? She laughs. Where to begin? Traditionalists think it's a crime against the gods. There's no question that poking around in souls is risky, but the more progressive elements believe it's our only shot at restoring healthy births. And it doesn't help matters that animancy research often involves old Ingwithan relics that were illegally looted from ruins in Ir Glenfoth. She makes a quick, twitching motion with her index and middle fingers. I wonder if she's involved in that somehow. Because weren't we supposed to look for... We have a quest regarding that, I think. What are the Hollowborn? She raises an eyebrow. You really are fresh from the road. Hollowborn are children born without souls. They often don't live for very long, and those that do have generally received some kind of treatment from the Animancers. So what do you think about Animancy? Me? I think the real danger of Animancy is confusing a real scholar with an expensive fake. We get a new case here every day. Some poor couple in the Gift or Copper Lane who spent every copper they had on a miracle cure for their unborn child. It never works. She shakes her head. Breaks your heart. There's usually nothing we can do for them. I see. Anyway, the legacy is what the politicians have all been whispering about lately. I'd like to ask about something else. Of course. I've always got my ear to the ground. Tell me about the current Duke. That'd be Ivar Wolfgren. Don't let the title fool you, though. Our Dukes have been elected since independence. Some find Duke Ivar rather coarse. He's a frontier noble. Personally, I think a rough and tumble type is just what Defiance Bay needs. And goodbye.
Margaren's fire casts light in dark places.
So this must be the side exit. I'll just double check to make sure that is the case. Oh yeah, I want to see what quest I had, because I swore we had a quest that has something to do with... Alright, maybe not. Can't go that way. like quest we'll get from Firga, since they mentioned she's having a hard time keeping the fires lit. In fact, I don't see a fire in here at all. A stone figure of a warrior gazes toward her raised hand. It's empty, but the palm and fingers are blackened.
Hail and well met.
The woman's head is bowed as her lips move in prayer. Just as you approach, you catch her glimpsing at the statue near her. She notices you, forces a smile. Praise be to Magrin. Welcome to her temple. I may be of service. Temple? I thought this was a palace. It's both, really. It's a palace from which Duke Ivar governs, but it's also a place of honor and worship for Magrin, the goddess who led us to independence and has always watched over our city. Her smile falters. You seem upset. What's wrong? Her shoulders slump. This is about the fires, isn't it? She puts a hand on your shoulder. They're just symbols. You can't put your faith in them. Slow down and tell me what this is about. She sighs. The sacred pyres all around town. You must have seen the statues of the goddess around the city, holding up empty braziers. I've kept them burning steadily for 15 years. I haven't been able to conjure them for months now, and people need to see them more than ever these days. What does that mean? It's my devotions and prayers that keep them lit. But lately, when I try to pray, all I can think about are the hollowborn all over the city, the grieving families, the refugees. She shakes her head. How can Margaret allow us to suffer like this? What strength do we gain from a soulless child? Durance grunts with disdain. What strength do we gain from adversity, from trial and test? The fires don't wither because she lacks in faith. They wither because she does not understand how to be faithful to a whore. A whore wants neither praise nor devotion. A whore wants to be compensated for her services. And Margaret is paid and pleasured in sweat and struggle and pain. This mewling imbecile is unworthy of Margaret's womanly heat. Alright, I'll just shrug. Well, I can't afford to be so nonchalant. I believe Margaret may be speaking to me again. She frowns and casts a quick glance in your direction. You don't seem like the type who has much use for the mysteries of faith. I can't think of any other way to explain this. Lately, I've been seeing visions. A place in the wilderness with pools filled with sunbursts of color. Strange falls that seem to rise to the heavens, even while they splash into the earth. She raises her hands as if framing an image of her vision. And behind the falls is a cave, filled with fire and heat and danger, and some token of my goddess. I know there's something there, but where it is, or how I'd get there, she shakes her head. I've been meaning to ask around at the expedition hall, see if anyone recognizes the description. To be honest though, I don't know what I'd do even if I found the place. Worthless, like so many of Magrin's flock, afraid of her god's tests. Magrin speaks to her. It is to hasten an end to a hypocrite's life, and this vision is surely a death trap for the weak. I'd like to know more about the temple here. Magrin is the most revered goddess among us dear Woodens, so it's no surprise that her temple is part of the Ducal Palace. Her fires symbolize trials, revolutions, and the blazing of new paths, all of which are important to us. She gestures to the statue. This is the first of the sacred pyres. When this is lit, so are the rest around the city. Something else? What's the significance of the sacred pyres? They symbolize Magrin's power and guidance, and right now, the people of Defiance Bay need to be assured of her presence. She crosses her arms, staring at the statue. Sorry, a cat just jumped up on my desk. Startled me. Our neighbors in the Valiant Republic see us as superstitious. We're just sensitive to the signs and warnings of the gods. And goodbye.
Yeah.
The new quest, Centers of Faith. When did I find that map? When I looked at the map at the expedition hall?
Welcome.
Virga nods. May you be guided and tempered by the flame. Are you still having the visions of the falls? Her voice is low and quiet. Yes, and of the cave, and something within. Some small, bright ember of faith, guarded by a terrible danger. Only wish I could go myself. Turns a guilty gaze on the statue.
Yeah.
I guess it was from looking at one of those maps, either in the expedition hall or I think Dunred Row had one. Don't think we've read that yet. We've read this. Alright, so excerpts from the Sermon of Struggle. Choice is a luxury we earn through peace. Struggle is our fundamental nature. That sounds familiar. Oh, we're going to read it anyway. Even when our war banners sit idle, mankind foments strife. Friends argue with fists, lovers kindle jealousies, merchants compete with lies. Wherever mankind goes, struggle follows. Migrant is goddess of fire and war, not bloodshed and conquest. The minion raid Sirius would tell it differently. How bitter they must be that Magrant's priests were able to destroy a god made manifest. How bitter indeed. We who worship Magrant are not addled barbarians or cloistered mystics. We are soldiers, armorers, watchmen, and bodyguards. Artisans of conflict, protectors of our families and flags. We do not salivate for battle. We view war as unwelcome, but struggle is our fundamental nature. We do not pray for strife. We pray for the wisdom to resolve it quickly. We do not wish for war, but when it inevitably must be fought, we find divine ecstasy in discipline, efficiency, and excellence. Magrin, guide us to the battle that is just and fair. Let us be your fire that burns away the profane, leaving only the righteous. If struggle is our fundamental nature, let victory be our inevitable state of grace. I feel like I've read that before. Some of it didn't sound familiar. I don't like reading these plays. The Dotty Burglar, A Dear Wooden Farce, Part 2. I don't think we read Part 1. Belmis stands in front of the drink tray. Belmis, picking up a small metal box next to the brandy. What could possibly convince him to give her up? Belmis opens the box and observes its contents. He looks up, a wicked grin on his face. Closes the box and sets it down. He turns his back, lost in thought. The door flies open, and Torfel enters. He sees Belmis and stops. Belmis turns to the noise of the door, eyes wide. Torfel. Beat. What? Belmis, immediately rushed, interrupting. Torfel, my good man. Such a pleasure to finally meet you after so long. Torfel. Who? Belmis. Iraby. Surely you're expecting me. Did you not get word I would be here tonight? Torfel. When? Belmis. I only just now arrived. The weather kept me up, else I would have arrived sooner. Torfel. How? Belmis. Defenda let me in and told me to wait for you in here. She said she was off to find you. Torfel. Iraby. Of course. Welcome to my home. So sorry for my manners. I was not expecting you for at least an hour. They shake hands, and then Torfel starts pouring drinks for them. Belmis. Yes, well, it's just this contract. I'm eager to settle the matter. We both know it must not fail, don't we? Torfel stops. I was told you were set against this. I invited you here to convince you. Belmis. Would you rather I change my mind back? Shall we argue a belabored point, or shall we celebrate our new accord? Torfel laughing. Of course, of course. How stupid of me. Torfel holds a glass out to Belmis. The business, they both say. Belmis sets the glass down and picks up the box. He opens it and sticks his finger inside. It comes out with a dark paste on it. He reaches toward Torfel's mouth. Belmis. Shall we celebrate properly? Torfel. Oh no. No, no, no. I never touched Svev. But I knew you were partial to it. By all means, go ahead. Belmis grunts and looks at his finger. He approaches Torfel. Torfel. I must say, this turn of events is quite welcome. I was sure it would take hours to... Belmis. thrusting his finger at Torful's mouth. What is that? Torful, turning his head so Belmis's finger passes by his lips without touching. What? Belmis sighing. Oh, nothing. My mistake. I was sure I saw something. Belmis walks around behind Torful and approaches him from the other side. Torful. I was sure it would take hours to convince you to see things from my side. Does my heart good too? Belmis, thrusting his finger at Torful's mouth again. There it is again. Torful turning his head so Belmis's finger passes by his lips without touching. What? Where? Belmis under his breath. Darn. Nothing. I guess I was imagining things. Torful. That must be incredibly potent Zbef. I never heard of it working before application. Be careful now.
Huh?
Oh, here's the part 1. So reading it backwards. So the Doughty Burglar, A Dear Wooden Farce, Part 1. Characters in order of appearance. Belmis, the Doughty Burglar. Torful, the Man of the House. Clana, or Clana, the Lady of the House. Offenda, the Maid. And Irby, an Important Visitor. A setting. Interior. The sitting room of Torful's house. Night. The stage is dark. The door to the room opens, and Belmis enters, holding a candle. He walks slowly through the room, picking up items, examining them, and replacing them. Presently, there is a noise off stage. Belmis freezes and listens. Torful off stage. Enough of this nonsense. I told you we would be returning early. Lana off stage. You said early. You didn't say it would be inexcusably rude. The voices are approaching the door to the sitting room. Belmis extinguishes that candle and hides behind the chair at the end of the stage opposite the door. The door opens. Torful entering, followed by Clana and Pafenda, voice even and controlled. This meeting is very important, Clana. A little cowslip. Irby is taking this meeting himself. This is unheard of. Clana, but Torful. Torful. Not another word. Belmis's head appears over the chair during this exchange. He watches the three interact. When Clana talks, he's entranced by her. Torful. Pafenda, have all the preparations been made for Irby's arrival? Pafenda. Yes, sir. Special brandy has been brought from the cellar, and the other refreshment has been prepared as well. Clana. Torful. Don't you dare. Torful. That's what it takes, Clana. That's what I'll do. Now, go prepare yourself for Irby's arrival. We must all look our best. This contract must not fail. All three leave the room. Belmis stands. Belmis. Who was that vision? Who was that goddess? Who was it that has stolen my heart, just as surely as I would steal hers? I must know her. I must meet her. I must have her. But how?
Huh?
That makes a little bit more sense. Torful thought Belmis was Irby, and not just a thief hanging outside his house.
Greetings.
A taciturn man with graying hair pores over a tome he's just withdrawn from one of the shelves. He glances up at you with baggy eyes. Yes? Is there something I can pull for you? I'm looking for militia records from the time of the Saints' War. Trying to find out what happened to someone. Man clears his throat. I've had a number of inquiries about such information. I'm afraid we've had to bar access to the public. Seems there are still quite a number of folk in Deerwood who bear ill will toward Readsirans. It'd be irresponsible to surrender their names to just anyone. Many came to settle here as refugees. Perhaps if you're more established in Defiance Bay, things would be different. I have no reason to suspect you to be any different from the others. But we've come a long way. I just need to find out about my brother. I don't even know what side he fought for. You must understand, I've heard many such stories. I'm afraid there's nothing I can do for you. I take what I want. The records keeper frowns. In the Duke's Palace, I can assure you that you do not. Besides, without my assistance, you'd be sifting through scrolls for years. Alright, farewell. Alright, Marshal Forwin. I believe you have business with Chancellor Warren. That I do. Thank you for coming, Donald. I've been trying to track you down for some time. This is Marshal Forwin, Earl Badamar's military advisor. He will serve as a witness for this proceeding. He gestures at the man next to him. Well met, Road Warden. Reputation precedes you. I admit, you've created a bit of a stir throughout the nobility with your reclamation of Caed Nua. Most are still not sure what to think of you. Alright, what's this about? The legitimacy of your claim to Caed Nua is in question. Earl Badamar has issued a ruling on the matter. Caed Nua was abandoned for over a century. I've claimed the land through strength of arms. My claim is legitimate. If there were no other claimant, you'd be correct. Unfortunately, this is not the case. All be made clear once Lord Gathbin arrives. Do you have any questions for me while we wait? Tell me about Earl Badamar. Earl Badamar comes from an esteemed line of lords that rose to prominence after the War of Defiance, some 150 years ago. The Deerwood consists of 7 earldoms. The Badamars govern the northern earldom, known as the Grasp. As to the current Badamar, he's a fine man as I know. It is an honor to serve him. Tell me more about the Grasp. The Grasp is now the largest of the 7 earldoms after it consumed the pre-war earldom of Yenwood. It encompasses notable settlements such as New Hiomar, Garen's Grasp, Gilded Vale, and of course, Caed Nua. Yenwood. When the Deerwood was a mere colony of Adir, it was divided into 9 earldoms. When the Adirans were defeated and ultimately driven out, 2 of the earldoms were absorbed and borders were adjusted. The Yenwood was one such earldom. I have other questions. Of course. Now, what do you know of Gathbin? Well, I've met him but once. It was ample time to determine the character of Lord Arladir Gathbin, or lack thereof. He's descended from an old Adiran line that predates the War of Defiance. His great-grandfather, Brandon Gathbin, was Earl of Yenwood during the war. That is, until he was stripped of his lands and driven from the Deerwood. Do you know which way Earl Badamar has ruled? I'm sorry, my lord. I do not. The Earl's decree is sealed. What was that about Road Warden? The one who rules Caed Nua on behalf of the Earl of Yenwood is traditionally known as the Road Warden. Your position might not be entirely official, yet, but the title is an appropriate form of address. The Marshal nods and smiles. I don't have any more questions. Your timing is impeccable. Here comes Lord Gathbin now. An opulently dressed man strides towards the Chancellor, his sandy hair trailing him like a banner caught in a light breeze, boot heels echoing throughout the hall. An elven woman with cropped hair dressed in dark, glinting mail shadows his steps before taking position alongside him. She watches you unabashedly, taking your measure. Let's move past this formality as quick as possible. I have other matters to attend to. It's well known that Caed Nua belongs to me, by right. And where is this pretender? Show me the fool that thinks to steal my land. Where is this low-born wretch? Warren clears his throat and glances at you. This man here. This is the Lord of Caed Nua. I thought he was just another servant. Perhaps a valet or a porter. Can we get on with this, please? Warren breaks the seal on the scroll and unfurls it. Regarding the matter of the Gathbin claim on Caed Nua, Earl Badamar finds that Gathbin claim was never relinquished. By law, Caed Nua is the rightful property of the Gathbin family. I knew it. Gathbin smirks at you, triumphantly. I'm not yet finished reading, my lord. Gathbin rolls his eyes, and motions for the Chancellor to continue. However, the Earl recognizes Donald's part in reclaiming Caed Nua, a site that has stood abandoned and even, some would say, cursed, for over a century. Before Caed Nua is returned to the Gathbin family, the Earl has decreed that Lord Gathbin will provide compensation in the form of... Absolutely not. Gathbin folds his arms, a defiant scowl on his face. My lord? Warren raises his eyebrows. The amount is quite reasonable, and a requirement for your land to be returned to you. You'll just allow me to finish. I'll not pay a single copper to this miscreant for my ancestral land. You think I'm blind to the Earl's motives, lackey? He thinks he can send a message with this insult. I have a message you can send that son of a whore. Gathman raises an open hand as the Chancellor shrinks from him, arms raised in defense. He grabbed Gathman's arm. Keep your hands off me, you peasant. Gathman yanks his arm free of your hand and steps back. The elven woman deftly draws a pistol from her thick leather belt. Her eyes widen in anticipation. My lords, please. There's no need for violence. Lord Gathman holds your gaze for several heartbeats, his eyes burning with hatred. I'll be coming for what's mine. Count on it. Come, Captain Emery. We're leaving. He sneers defiantly before storming down the hall. The captain lowers her pistol and gives a smirking shrug before following her employer. Well, I can't say that Gathman's reaction was entirely unexpected. Through no fault of your own, I'm afraid you've made a powerful enemy. He did seem a little upset, didn't he? I've heard he's always been vicious, even as a boy, and he can hold a grudge for a very long time. In any case, Caed Nua now officially belongs to you, since Lord Gathman has rejected the Earl's decree. He hands you a deep blue scepter, which looks to have been carved entirely out of sapphire. Here, this belongs to one of the old lords of Caed Nua. By right, it's yours now. Absolutely not. I'm not giving him money. Yeah, I'm done here. It was a pleasure to finally meet you, my lord. Warren bows. Perhaps we'll speak again under more pleasant circumstances. Farewell, Donald. Marshal nods at you and leaves.
Yeah.
Alright, so is that completed now? Yeah, okay. Alright, so what's this gotta... or what is this? So Forgotten Hollow rewards 15% experience. Weirwood Ring expires in 25 hours. Duration 1 turn. 20 years ago, woodsman in Logholm had a gift bearer of Andra bury the painful memories of his dead wife somewhere in the dense forest known as Blackweir. Since his recent death, his daughter's been searching for information about her mother. Her father left no clues, and the gift bearer has only been seen twice by locals in the last decade. There's another quest that we weren't able to do since we didn't have an extra companion at the keep. I'm hoping it gets recycled. I hate missing stuff. Alright, so where do I want to go next? I could pursue the main quest and go to the Temple of Wotica. But I think we'll hold off on that for now. I think we'll do this one next. Of course, we have the quest at Heritage Hill as well, but I'm gonna probably save that one for last.
Right.
But we'll see. See where our adventure takes us. Alright, so I'm gonna call it here for now. Next episode, we will go back to Copper Lane and pursue the Built to Last quest. And that'll be our priority for now. So, for now, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.